UGIE/9QC. Overlap planner HIBFP3DA. 2 Reek G3-. I slammed my palm on the desk so hard the file folder burst open and pages fluttered to the floor. Adrian lounged against my office door frame. Thin lips curling. President Sterling. Such fire. Careful. You'll scorch your liver. Adrian, don't push me. I've prepped this project for 6 months and you swoop in with gutter tactics? I choked down the urge to strangle him. Business is war. The fittest survive. He adjusted his cuff, looking so smug I wanted to brain him with the pen holder. I simply helped the client see your real numbers. You call that a simply? I hissed. You bribed my CTO and stole core code? Small tactics? He stepped in, shut the door on my assistant's curious stare, and closed the distance. The height gap forced me to tilt my head. Serena, remember, in this town you're king or corpse. Your old man pulled the same stunt on my father. I'm just balancing the books. Get out. I pointed, hand shaking. He leaned in until his breath brushed my cheek. What? Sore loser. Isn't Sterling famous for the last laugh? That faint cologne again, infuriatingly familiar. 6 years ago we fought tooth and nail at Riverdale School. 6 years later we're still at it. The man who's blocked me since college is now my worst enemy. I'll sue you. I have proof. Try me. His eyes turned arctic. But first ponder your cash crunch. Rumor says Sterling's bleeding money. My heart lurched. Only top brass knew. How did he? Not your concern. No. He drew a document from his jacket and laid it on my blotter. This might rewrite your answer. A debt transfer agreement. 200 million my father owed. The creditor line reading Caldwell in bold. You. I looked up into his predator smile. Let's talk somewhere quiet. He straightened his tie. I have a proposal, mutually profitable. What proposal? Marriage. He smiled coldly. I want you, and your company. You've lost your mind. I thunked my coffee cup down. We sat in a corner of the upscale cafe while Adrian sipped espresso as if he just commented on the weather. Pure business logic, he said, setting the cup aside. Sterling has the tech. I have the cash. A merger by marriage is fastest. So wedlock's a contract? What else? He arched a brow. You still believe in fairy tale love? I snorted. Even if Sterling implodes, I won't marry you. Sure. He slid his phone across the table. Headline: Sterling accused of securities fraud. Faces prison. You. Heat flared behind my eyes. I can push publish any second. He pocketed the phone. Your father's looking at 3 years minimum. My nails cut crescents into my palms. Despicable. Standard due diligence. He folded his hands. Marry me. The debt vanishes. Charges disappear. And I pump 500 million into Sterling. All you do is sign a certificate and keep running the firm. Why should I? Because you can't even make next month's payroll. Silence. Dad's post-retirement gambles had gutted our cash. We were 2 months from broke. Why me? I muttered. Plenty of prettier resumes out there. Wherever Amph administer out plus, we journlank hashtag bites Lena Riverdale for AM tweet deck overload. Something unreadable flickered across his face. You owe me. For what? Freshman debate. You played dirty and won. Seed round. You poached my VC. First $1 million contract. You hijacked it. He listed each like bullets. Time to settle. Serena. So this is revenge. Call it closure. He rose. Tall shadow falling over me. 72 hours. Say yes, and my legal team will be at your office tomorrow. Say no. Enjoy the headlines. He strode out, the glass door swinging shut behind him. I speed dialed Chloe. Girl. Code red. Have you been body snatched? Chloe gaped. You're actually marrying that jerk? We huddled in the dive bar under Sterling's tower. I was on my 4th whiskey. Vision swimming. There are other ways. Loan sharks. White knight investors. Too late. I cut her off. Lawyers say once dad's fraud breaks, stock free falls and we lose everything we spent 5 years building. She exhaled, but moving into Adrian's den. He hates you. I'll survive. I shrugged. It's 2024. Marriage isn't a branding iron. I can divorce him later. Naive. Chloe twirled her stir stick. Guys like Adrian don't release prey. I downed the last drop. So help me. Meaning? Shadow him. Dig up dirt. Find leverage. I steadied my voice. I'll play captive queen, but I intend to burn the castle down. 72 hours later I sat in Caldwell's boardroom watching attorneys print the prenup. Its terms shocked me. 500 million cash injection. All dad's liabilities wiped. And carte blanche for me to run Sterling, provided I transfer 30% equity to Adrian and stay Caldwell for 24 months minimum. That's it? I asked across the mahogany. Disappointed? He lifted a brow. I expected a vulturine feast. I'm allergic to micromanagement. Deliver the numbers. Pick your people. He signed with a flourish. I couldn't read him, but the deal was oxygen. Ink me in. I scrawled Serena beside his Adrian. He snapped the folder shut. City. 10 a.m. tomorrow. Hold up. I stalled. We live together, Merger K. Haifa said. Throughout 2699 Labs Junction El Spa contacted. obviously. Worried I'll cramp your style? Keep dreaming. I crossed my arms. Separate bedrooms. Non-negotiable. Granted. Public love act required. This is theater. After all. Deal. The next morning I wore a plain white sundress. Adrian showed up in a charcoal suit. We posed. Expressionless. For the marriage certificate photo, no flowers. No vows. No diamond, just paper and calculation. Congratulations, Caldwell. He handed me the booklet, something unreadable flickering in his eyes. On paper only. I shoved it into my tote. He produced a velvet box and slid a 3-carat diamond ring onto my left hand. Full set. His voice dropped. Remember, you're mine now. I stared at the glittering stone, pulse thrumming. Is this the first scene of a nightmare, or the opening move of my comeback? Moving into Adrian's penthouse was a slow-motion ordeal. The tri-level villa sat on the city's highest ridge, infinity pool, manicured garden, chandeliers that looked like they'd been imported from Versailles. My 2 suitcases barely filled one corner of a single walk-in closet, shabby as hand-me-downs. Your bedroom's on the right side of the 2nd floor. Mine's on the left, Adrian said, already halfway up the stairs. Staff is on call. Dinner's at 7. And just like that, the strangest roommate arrangement of my life began. During daylight we ran our separate empires. Radio silent. At night, if neither of us had an event, we shared a quiet meal and retreated to our corners. That routine lasted exactly 1 week, until the annual Caldwell Gala rolled around. You have to be there. Adrian delivered the news over breakfast. As my wife, I still have a mountain of files. I kept my eyes on my coffee. Not a request, an announcement. He folded the newspaper. Car picks you up at 7. Dress like you mean it. I met his icy gaze. Afraid I'll embarrass you, Caldwell? No, he said, surprising me. I'm afraid they'll eat you alive. My family's circle isn't a sandbox. I blinked, caught off guard. That night I chose a black backless gown and the only diamonds I owned, the necklace Adrian had called an accessory, on our wedding day. When he saw me, a flash of astonishment crossed his face before the mask slid back in place. Let's go. The ballroom of the 5-star hotel was packed with Riverdale's apex predators. I curved my hand around Adrian's forearm and felt the heat of 100 curious stares. So that's the new Caldwell? Heard she's the CEO of Sterling? Arranged marriage. Nobody's buying the love story. The whispers crawled under my skin. I kept smiling, spine steel rod straight. Ignore them, Adrian murmured, his arm tightening just enough to anchor me. A statuesque woman glided over, escorted by a silver-haired patriarch. Adrian, darling, is this the bride? She raked me with a look that could have filed taxes. I'm Adrian's aunt by marriage, she added, leaving my extended hand hanging. Serena, I said, retrieving my hand just as Adrian captured it. Aunt, Sterling's books are healthy. My checkbook saw to it. His tone could have sliced granite. Disrespect my wife and you disrespect me. Color drained from her face. Just teasing. Darling, come, Serena. Let me introduce you to. For the rest of the night Adrian never strayed more than a foot away, feeding me names, intercepting landmine questions, even spinning a romantic yarn about rivals who caught feelings when some banker pried. In the back seat of the town car, I finally asked, why the rescue mission? Neon bled across the window, painting him red, then blue. The contract says you're my wife in public. I'm fulfilling clauses. That's the only reason? He turned, something unreadable in his eyes. Were you hoping I actually cared? I swallowed, wordless. At the front door he stopped me. Serena. Yes, starting tomorrow. Carve out 2 hours a day to study Caldwell's portfolio, he said. If you wear the ring, you learn the business. That's not in the contract. I frowned. It is in marriage, he shot back, and vanished into his study. I lingered on the staircase, heart thudding. What game is he playing? 1 month in, my universe had tilted off its axis. Adrian's $500 million infusion had already sterilized Sterling's balance sheet. The new smart city pilot was breaking ground next quarter. Dad's debts were a line item of history. He still thought I was, at an overseas seminar, my cover story. Every morning we breakfasted together while his private chef plated photogenic avocado toast. At first we read separate news apps. Later we swapped market rumors. Word is you bagged the Riverdale smart grid bid, Adrian said one Tuesday. Signed yesterday. Why? Caldwell interested? I sipped my espresso. Our next residential tower sits on the same fiber loop, he replied. We should talk synergy. I lowered my cup. You want to partner with me? Why not? We're family now, aren't we? Family. The word felt like a typo coming from him. That evening he was actually home before 8, rarer than a blue moon, and standing at the range, flipping produce like a line cook. You cook? I leaned in the doorway, arms crossed. Freshman year, off-campus studio. Choices were learn or starve. He didn't look up. I remembered campus Adrian, blazer pressed, cologne subtle, never near the dining hall, rich kid stereotype, stamped and certified. He caught my expression, shocked, little bit, I admitted. Didn't know the crown prince could survive without silver service. Dinner landed fast, pepper steak, garlicky greens, tomato egg soup straight out of a dorm memory. Shockingly edible. Not bad, Mr. CEO, I said. So you can acquire companies and taste buds. Have I acquired yours? His stare pinned me to the chair. I forced a laugh. Contract. Remember. 2 years. Then passport stamped freedom. His jaw tightened for half a heartbeat. Of course. Joke, he said. But the humor felt forced. Next morning Sterling received an official proposal. Joint development of Riverdale's West Flank Innovation Corridor. Caldwell letterhead. Adrian's signature. That's your idea of a side project? I asked over the phone. Objections? Timeline's 24 months, I pointed out. Our marital expiration date. Commercial contracts survive divorce. He cut in. Business is business. The line went quiet. I hated the pinch in my chest when he said divorce that casually. I'll review the full deck, I said at last. I'd barely hung up when Chloe breezed in. Who jumbled your face, Adrian? He offered us the corridor deal. I exhaled. Girl, your merger is trending upward. Is Ice King secretly warm and fuzzy? We're a transaction. Nothing more. She snorted. Then why are you blushing? I'm not. Please. She parked herself opposite me. Entire floor says you've softened. Smile quota up. Temper down. Wardrobe straight out of a Nancy Meyers movie. Heat filled my cheeks. I had, without noticing, switched to minimalist cashmere and the bergamot scent he wore. Chloe leaned closer. So, got the dirt on him yet? My stomach dropped. I'd completely forgotten the plan. 4 weeks and I hadn't harvested a single bite of Blackmail. I'd actually started liking the man. Still reconnaissance phase, I muttered. Don't drink the Kool-Aid, she warned. Sharks don't offer $500 million out of sentiment. Her caution tangled itself around my lungs for the rest of the day. Adrian was already in the foyer when I got back. Coat draped over his arm. Verdict, he asked. I need the technical appendices. I'll have them messengered over. Also, charity gala Saturday. You coming? I almost said no. Chloe's voice rang in my ears. Transaction. Not trust. Yet refusing felt like a tell. Fine, I said. For the optics. Optics. I repeated while climbing the stairs. Remember the lens. This is still just a deal wearing a tux. At the charity gala, I got another crash course in the backstabbing that passes for manners up here. Serena. You look radiant. A middle-aged businesswoman cooed, eyelids fluttering. I hear Sterling and Caldwell are teaming up on something huge. We have a few projects in motion, I answered, cautious. How sweet, a mom-and-pop shop always runs smoother. She winked. Just watch out. Mixing marriage and money tends to end in messy divorces. I smiled thinly. By now I could recite these backhanded blessings in my sleep. Serena, a man I never met, cut in. I caught word you're building a smart city platform. My fun's hungry for a piece. Any appetite on your side? I was opening my mouth to brush him off when Adrian slid beside me, hand fitting naturally around my waist. Sorry, my wife is off duty tonight. No shop talk. The guy retreated, grumbling. Adrian dipped his head to my ear. Careful, he's a hired probe from the competition. A chill ran down my spine. One more minute and I might have stepped right into their trap. Thanks, I murmured. He passed me a flute of champagne. Don't mention it. Protecting my wife is in the job description. I studied the sharp line of his profile and felt my thoughts blur. If we were a normal couple, this moment would feel like a movie. The auction began, one lavish lot after another. Then the MC unveiled a special item, a one-of-a-kind limited tourbillon, only piece on the planet. I've wanted that forever, I breathed. Adrian glanced over but said nothing. Bidding opened at 500,000 and rocketed past 2 million in seconds. At 3.5, most paddles dropped, leaving only a stubborn older gentleman. 4. Adrian lifted his card. 4.5, the man shot back. 5. Adrian's voice stayed flat. 5.5. Forget it. The man surrendered. Sold. 5 million to Caldwell. The MC crowed. I gaped at him. Are you insane? 5 million for a watch? You said you wanted it. He shrugged. And the money goes to charity. So it's not wasted. Words failed me. 1 minute he's domineering enough to throttle. The next he's disarmingly thoughtful. On the drive home I finally asked, why the royal treatment? What? He played dumb. Stop. I turned to face him. $500,000 risk candy. Running interference at the gala. Even cooking for me. None of that is in our contract. He was quiet a long beat. Maybe. I'm trying to be a decent husband. Even in a paper marriage. Even in a paper marriage. Back at the house he placed the leather box in my hand. Yours. Wear it. I took it. Stomach nodding. Chloe's warning echoed. Don't fall for the act. Next morning I decided to test him. During the joint project meeting I lobbed a grenade of one-sided demands. Those terms are pretty aggressive. Caldwell's project lead frowned. I looked straight at Adrian. Your take? Adrian didn't blink. If Serena believes those clauses strengthen Sterling, we'll consider them. Partnership has to cut both ways. The entire Caldwell side of the table stared, stunned. Their boss had folded so fast. Afterwards I lingered, pretending to scroll email, and overheard the lead whisper, "Boss, we're giving away the store." Adrian answered loud enough for me to catch. Doesn't matter, as long as she's happy. I fled before anyone noticed the eavesdrop. That line ricocheted in my skull all night. Adrian, are you for real or still gaming me? If it's real, why blackmail me down the aisle? If it's a con, why keep shielding my company? I woke to an empty kitchen and a note propped against a thermos of latte. Big meeting today, won't be home for dinner. Try on the watch. Adrian, I snapped the $5 million timepiece around my wrist. The dial glittered like my emotions, bright, chaotic, unreadable. The twist came 3 months after the wedding. I worked past midnight. The house was dark when I returned. I'd barely shut the door when the living room lights blazed. Adrian sat on the sofa, face like a thunderhead. Where were you? A cold edge I'd never heard cut through his voice. Working, like I texted, I said, confused. What's wrong? He rose and closed the distance. With whom? What do you mean? With whom? The project team, same as always. Really? He barked a humorless laugh and shoved his phone at me. Explain this. On the screen, me and a man over dinner. Heads inclined, his hand apparently covering mine. That's Leo. Potential Series B lead for Sterling, I sighed. We were discussing valuation. Valuation requires handholding now? Adrian jabbed at the shot. I looked closer and burst out laughing. Wow. Adrian, are you actually jealous? I'm reminding you not to forget your current job title, he snapped. My title? My grin iced over. You mean the wife you purchased? Silence slammed down. His eyes darkened further. You know that isn't what I meant. Spell it out. Then, fury ignited in my chest. Let's not forget. We're just a contract. You have zero right to police my personal life, don't I? His smirk was lethal. Check clause 12, extramarital affair triggers severe financial penalty, and your father's investigation can be reopened tomorrow. I trembled, livid. How dare you assume? That was a business dinner. Let's hope so. He turned toward the stairs. Good night. I stood frozen, stung. In his mind I was still a pawn. The tenderness of the past weeks had been stage lighting. Next morning I left before sunrise, skipping breakfast. At the office I called Chloe. Dig up every project Adrian is personally steering, especially stealth stuff, I said. She blinked. You two fight. He looked ready to fillet someone at the elevator. I gave her the bullet version. I need leverage. I'm done dancing on his strings. 3 days later Chloe burst in, laptop glowing. Adrian is secretly acquiring a startup whose platform overlaps ours by 80%. If he folds it into Caldwell first, he could leapfrog us. I felt the floor tilt. So the endgame was conquest, marriage first, ambush second. He wants to replace Sterling, I muttered. Book me dinner with Leo tonight. We accelerate the raise. For the next week Adrian and I orbited like hostile moons, crisp nods, no eye contact. Then I came home to a crystal vase of white roses and a card. Sorry I was an ass. Skyline, 8 p.m., please. Adrian, I shredded the note. Same old bait. At 7:30 my phone buzzed. Chloe, breathless. Mystery solved. He isn't buying them to crush us. He's buying them to shield us. Their new protocol would have nuked our core product next quarter. Adrian's locking it up so rivals can't weaponize it. My pulse stuttered. Could he actually be protecting me? I glanced at the clock. 7:46. I sprinted for heels and a cab. Skyline's maitre d' waved me to the window. Adrian nursed a half-finished whiskey. Surprise flickered across his face when he saw me. Then the crooked smile I hadn't realized I missed. I thought you weren't coming. I thought I wasn't either. I slid into the seat across from him, hesitated, then cut straight to it. You bought that tech startup to protect me, didn't you? Adrian flinched, then gave a rueful smile. Your intel is scary good. Why? I pressed. Why help me at all? He was quiet for a long beat before he spoke. Because I'm in your debt. For what? An apology and an explanation. He held my gaze. Serena, I never hated you. What do you mean? I froze. Adrian drew a slow breath. 6 years ago, the college debate final, you beat me. But not because you played dirty. I choked. I don't follow. I fell for the opposition, so I went easy. A bitter smile. I already liked you then, Serena. My mind went white. The information too big to swallow. After graduation I wanted to ask you out, but you dove straight into a startup with your friends. No space for me. He kept going. Later, when I heard you were near bankruptcy, I wanted to help, but I was terrified you'd turn me down. So you blackmailed me into marrying you? I stared in disbelief. That's insane. I know it's selfish. He looked down, but I couldn't watch you lose everything, and I thought if we lived under the same roof you might eventually feel something too. So this whole thing was your design? My voice shook. My father's debt, my company's crisis, even the project you snatched? Adrian shook his head. Your father's debt is real. I just happened to buy the paper. As for the project, yes, I pulled a few strings, but only to create a way in. Words failed me. The man claiming to love me had tethered me with the most warped rope imaginable. You find that romantic? Forcing a woman to marry you? I sneered. No, it's selfish. I know that. He met my eyes. But these 3 months I've tried to make it right. Full autonomy for your firm, cleaning up your father's mess, quietly crushing rivals who might hurt you. And then, I cut in. You expect gratitude and spontaneous love? Adrian said nothing. That night, why did you do that to me? I finally asked the question, gnawing at me, threatening me with my father's lawsuit. I was jealous. He confessed, seeing you cozy up to another guy. I lost it. I regretted the words the second they left my mouth. I inhaled, trying to sort the knots in my head. Everything he'd done was outrageous, yet laced with a crooked kind of devotion. You know what? These 3 months I've hunted for your weak spots, plotting payback. I spoke softly, but you kept shaking my resolve, cooking for me, shielding me at galas, dropping $500,000 on a watch. Because I mean it, he said. I just don't know the right way to show it. Looking at the usually indomitable man, now raw and open, something inside me cracked. Serena, can we start over? Adrian asked quietly, not as contract partners, but as a real couple. Give me one chance to love you the right way. I didn't answer at once. His confession was too sudden. I needed room to breathe. I need time, I finally said. Adrian nodded. I understand. Whatever you decide, I'll respect it. If you want out, I won't block you or claim breach. We rode home in silence. Once inside, Adrian volunteered to take the guest room so I could have space. I tossed in bed, his revelation rippling through me like a rock hurled into a still lake. I replayed the last 3 months, his thoughtfulness, his protection, even that flash of jealousy. Could all of it be love? In the morning, Adrian was already gone. On the dining table sat breakfast and a note. Serena, big meeting today. Probably back late. Don't feel pressured about last night. I'll wait for your answer. Whatever you choose. I want you happy. Adrian, I folded the note. My mind made up. That afternoon Chloe called. Emergency. Caldwell's under hostile takeover. Stocks in freefall. What? I gasped. How? Someone's spreading rumors that Adrian cooked the books. And investors are panicking. Leaker claims to be a Caldwell insider. Sounds legit. My stomach dropped. A rival hitting back? Where's Adrian? Locked in an emergency board session. Media's camped outside Caldwell. I scrolled the headlines. Caldwell's implosion was the lead story. Analysts warned of bankruptcy if the bleeding didn't stop. I hesitated, then dialed Adrian. No answer. I'm going to him, I told Chloe. Wait, are you sure? She worried. Jump in and Sterling gets splattered too. I have to, I said. He's still my husband. I reached Caldwell to find reporters and furious shareholders clogging the entrance. I shoved through and shot up to the top floor boardroom. When I pushed the doors, every head whipped around. Adrian sat at the far end, drained. He blinked when he saw me. Serena, why are you here? I walked to his side and, under the stares of the entire board, laced my fingers through his. Heard you hit turbulence. I'm here to help. Adrian's eyes warmed, then shifted back to business. It's messy. You should sit this out. No deal. We're husband and wife. We ride together. I faced the directors. Gentlemen, I'm Serena, CEO of Sterling and Adrian's wife. I believe in my husband. The fraud claims are garbage. Sterling, what proof do you have? One director asked. My company is prepared to enter full strategic partnership with Caldwell to weather this storm. I said, voice steady. If Caldwell were toxic, I'd hardly gamble Sterling. Murmurs swept the room. Adrian squeezed my hand, emotion flooding his face. After the session, he pulled me aside. You didn't have to. This is my fire, not yours. Adrian, I held his gaze. You said you'd give me time. I've decided. Decided what? I'm willing to restart, on new terms. I lowered my voice, not out of pity, but because I feel something too. Adrian froze. Then a softness I'd never seen washed over him. Serena, but we write new rules. I added, equality, respect, trust, non-negotiable. I don't need protection. I need a partner in the trenches. He smiled, eyes shining. Done. From now on, everything together. The next weeks we fought side by side. Investigation traced the smear campaign to a bitter Caldwell VP who'd hoped to oust Adrian. When the dust settled, we held a joint press conference announcing Sterling Caldwell synergy. Complementary tech stacks. Co-branded roadmap. New market blitz. At home we also rebooted. No more contract. Just two people learning each other for real. Sometimes the opening act is a mess. But if you're brave enough to rewrite the script, love can still find its footing. As Adrian likes to say, life's biggest gamble isn't conquering the world. It's defeating your own bias and giving love a shot. And I, at last, chose to hand our ridiculous prologue a brand new, wide-open sequel. No longer the trophy snatched by a nemesis, but the woman walking shoulder to shoulder with the man she loves.